3,000 people dead in 29 days. And while you were checking your phone this morning, Yemen's Houthi rebels launched missiles at Israel, officially opening a new front in the US-Iran war. This is no longer a two-sided conflict. It's a multi-front regional war that just crossed a line most analysts said wouldn't be crossed. And the part nobody's talking about? 12% of everything the world trades by sea now passes through a war zone. Here's the misunderstanding most people have about this war. They think it's the US versus Iran, a straightforward standoff between two countries. It's not. What started as targeted strikes has spiraled into a network of conflicts spanning at least 6 countries. Iran is under heavy bombardment. Tehran itself is being hit. Lebanon has lost over 1,100 people. 80 Iraqi security forces are dead. And now Yemen's Houthis, an Iranian-backed militia that controls most of northern Yemen, have decided this is their fight too. On March 27, Houthi forces launched their first missile strikes on Israel since this war began. Israel intercepted them, but the message was clear: Iran's allies are activating. The Houthis aren't some ragtag militia. They've been fighting Saudi Arabia for nearly a decade. They've disrupted global shipping before. And they sit right next to the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, one of the most critical choke points in global trade. Roughly 12% of all international commerce passes through that narrow waterway. If the Houthis blockade it, oil prices spike overnight and fertilizer shipments to Africa and Asia grind to a halt. Meanwhile, the US just raised the stakes even further. Approximately 2,500 Marines have arrived in the Middle East aboard the USS Tripoli with elements of the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit. This isn't a peacekeeping gesture. This is a combat-ready force deployment into an active war zone. And the cost is already staggering: at least 13 American service members killed, over 300 wounded. Just this week, more than 24 US troops were injured at Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia alone. But here's what makes this truly dangerous. Iran isn't backing down. On March 25, Tehran flat-out rejected the US ceasefire proposal and issued its own counter-proposal. Iran's demands include full reparations for war damage, sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz, and a complete end to hostilities on Iranian terms. Washington rejected it immediately. So now you have two sides, each refusing the other's terms, while the bombs keep falling and more countries keep getting pulled in. Behind the scenes, a scramble for peace is underway, but it's not coming from Washington or Tehran. Pakistan, Turkey, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia are convening emergency talks in Islamabad. These 4 nations understand what a wider war means for their own economies and borders. Saudi Arabia already has wounded American soldiers on its soil. Turkey is watching its trade routes threatened. Egypt depends on stable energy markets. And Pakistan, a nuclear power, shares a direct border with Iran. The diplomats in that room carry more weight than most people realize. The human cost is almost impossible to process. Over 1,900 dead in Iran. 1,100 in Lebanon. 19 in Israel. 13 American troops. 20 in Gulf Arab states. 4 in the West Bank. 80 Iraqi security forces. These aren't statistics, they're entire families, entire neighborhoods leveled. Civilians across at least 7 countries are caught in a war that most of the world still thinks is just about 2 governments posturing. Air travel routes are being rerouted. Global oil and gas markets are in turmoil. Fertilizer supplies, critical for food production in developing nations, are disrupted. Day 29. 3,000 dead. A new front just opened. Marines are landing. Ceasefire talks have collapsed. And 4 countries are desperately trying to stop what could become the largest Middle Eastern conflict in a generation. The Houthis control a choke point that feeds 12% of global trade. Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz, through which 20% of the world's oil flows. If both waterways are weaponized at once, this stops being a regional war. It becomes everyone's problem. And the question nobody in power seems willing to answer: what exactly is the endgame here? Follow now, because this conflict is moving faster than the headlines. We break down what's actually happening before everyone else catches up. Hit subscribe so you don't miss day 30.